So I am here because you are definitely hearing, not just from me, but all around, sugar is bad. Sugar is so dangerous. We need to be avoiding sugar. But the problem is why, right? And why should you care, more importantly? It's so important to start from a place of knowledge and really understand what's going on before you can start to make a change in your own life. So I have a 3-part series for you. Today is part 1, and I'm going to be talking all about how sugar works in the body. Tomorrow, part 2, I'm going to be talking about how sugar is actually slowly killing us and causing all these diseases and how it's wreaking havoc on our health. And then in part 3 on Monday, I'm going to talk a bit about how to shop smart and where sugar is really hiding. So I really want to educate and spread the word about sugar and help clear up a few things for you if you've been hearing sugar is bad but you're not quite sure why. So tune in tomorrow and on Monday for part 2 and 3 at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on my page, New Growth Wellness. So before I get started into talking about how sugar works in the body, I really want to emphasize how sugar is sugar. So this is something that drives me nuts, of course, because it's so easy to market and sell something as healthy when essentially it's just sugar. So whether you're eating honey or molasses or maple syrup or coconut sugar or white sugar, it's all the same. It is sugar. It is broken down to the same key molecules in your body that spike your insulin and do all the crazy things that white sugar does. So keep that in mind. I mean, it's really like saying, because I always compare sugar to cocaine because it's just as addictive, it's like saying my cocaine is laced with some extra vitamins, some iron and magnesium, so it's good for me. It's still just cocaine. So just because there might be a couple minerals and vitamins in there does not make it better for you. Be very clear on that part. So how does sugar work in your body when you ingest it? So essentially you ingest sugar either in a complex carbohydrate or simple sugars, added sugars like honey and white sugar. They get broken down in your digestive system. There's a whole bunch of processes involved. I'm going to spare you the details. They get broken down into glucose or fructose, or a combination of the two. Those are the tiniest molecules that they get broken down to in your digestive system. And they're so small that they can get absorbed through your intestines into your bloodstream. And once they're in the bloodstream, their first stop is the liver. And the liver gets to decide, in terms of glucose, it gets to decide if your body needs glucose to run, like if the cells need the glucose, because glucose is your cells and your body's main source of energy. This is really important because glucose is something that we need to run, and all of our processes in our body need glucose to run. So the liver decides if our body is in need of immediate energy somewhere, and if not, it gets to store some of that glucose in the liver in another form for backup, sort of like a storage for later, which is great. And the glucose that is sent into the bloodstream to go out to your cells triggers the release of insulin from your pancreas. So those terms I'm sure you've heard a little bit about, but insulin is essentially, and this is the best way to think of it, is essentially the taxi that takes the glucose from floating around in your bloodstream aimlessly into the cells that actually need it. So it's a transport car. Taxi is the best way I like to think of it. And it transports into the cells where the energy is needed all over the body. Really important job, right? So the problem is when we have too much glucose, and I'll get to this tomorrow in part 2, is that it gets stored as fat. So when our cells are full of energy that they need, the liver has all the backup energy stored for later. There's only a limited spot for that. So what happens with this excess glucose is that it gets stored as fat. And this is where the tummy ring for a lot of people is a serious problem because it's being stored around the liver. And that's why you're getting that belly, ring. and it gets stored as fat. Now, fructose is a little bit different. This I was just talking about was how glucose was handled once it gets in the blood. Fructose, on the other hand, which you find in things like fruits or high fructose corn syrups and a lot of other really artificial sweeteners, fructose goes into your bloodstream, straight to the liver, and stays there, stores as fat. So because fructose is not used in your body as energy, it just goes to the liver and stays there and gets stored as fat. So that's something really important to note as well about fructose. Now, that's really just a quick synopsis of how that works in your body. I hope it was really simple and made sense. The last thing I do want to say is that when you can eat your sugars and your carbohydrates with fiber and with protein, this process gets slowed down to a very easy to handle state. So there's not that huge spike in insulin as would be if you just ate tablespoons of white sugar. So if you can eat an apple instead, it's got all that good fiber in it, and even better if you can put some peanut butter on that apple, my favorite snack, you're going to be so much better at releasing that glucose slowly into your bloodstream and being a lot easier on your liver and your insulin receptors. That makes sense too. So that's part one. That's how sugar works when it enters your body. And please, please, please tune in tomorrow for part 2, not 4, 2, because that is really going to be the key. Tomorrow I'm going to talk all about how overconsumption, as in our society right now, is really, really directly linked to causing so much damage to our health, and it's slowly killing us. I'm going to make that link now that you know how it works in the body. Tomorrow I'm going to build on that and teach you a little bit about exactly where things are going really, really wrong and why you should care about it. So tomorrow's a very, very important part. Do not miss it. Join me live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific time here in my page, New Growth Wellness. And please, please share this video with your friends and your family and spread the knowledge, because we all need to know about this stuff. We really do need to know how sugar is affecting us and how it's causing serious problems. Because once we know, we can start to make a change. And before you know it, everybody will make a change, and we can really change the state of our health. And that's my personal mission. And you can help me with that by sharing this video. And lastly, of course, if you haven't seen already, I am hosting another of my Break Free from Sugar group programs, and I cannot wait to get started. It's going to be phenomenal. It really is all about detoxing from sugar and resetting your relationship with sugar. So it's getting over the sugar addiction. It's really getting back on track with your health, eating right, and everything that you need to really tackle the sugar that's in our society. So if that's something that interests you and you could use some knowledge, some accountability, some help from a certified nutrition coach, please take a look at the link. I will post it above this video in the description, because pre-registration, the early bird pricing is ending in only a couple days, and there's only a couple spots left. I'm only accepting 8 beautiful ladies this time around to keep the group really intimate and supportive. So do not wait. If this is something that you need to do for yourself, jump on over. I would love to have you in the program. And there's so much more coming. It's jam-packed with amazing food, but also the knowledge and support that you need to get through that hard stage in the sugar detox. So the link is above for that, and please post any comments below that you may have, and join me tomorrow at 2 p.m. I will see you then. Bye.